It's California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. I'm really glad you're with us today. We have some special visitors. We start with Chief Deputy Geoff Raya of the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. He brings with him 4 beings. Deputy Heath Noy and his dog Spike. And then we have Corporal Todd Garvin and his dog Inga. They are 2 of 26 dogs that work for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. I am in awe of both the men and the dogs present on set today. Talk to us about these 26 animals and how diverse they really are. You know, this dog right here, Spike, he looks like what I'd expect a dog to look like that work for the police department. Looks like a German Shepherd, but he's not. You know, Bloodhound I wouldn't expect. So talk to us about kind of the diversity of breeds.
Absolutely. Our sheriff, Stan Sniff,
yes.
We're very fortunate.
Sniff, by the way, that works because dogs use sniff, but keep going.
Correct, good one.
Yes.
We're very fortunate that he has built this team that originated in 1983 with just your basic patrol service dog, which you see represented by Spike over here. Mm-hmm. But since that time, we have grown to the 26 dogs who have a broad sense of versatility.
Right. But let me ask you, before we get to their job description, which is huge, do talk more about the kind of diversity of breed, because, again, we have this image, all police dogs are German Shepherds.
Correct.
It's just not the case.
Correct. That's true. You see the Belgian Malinois that is located with over to our side with Deputy Noyes. We also have bloodhounds, but beyond that, not represented here, we have our German Shepherds, the tried and true that you just mentioned, and we have Labradors, Labradors that have a diverse use in finding narcotics, finding explosives, finding things that are concealed in our custody facilities.
So do different breeds have different strengths?
Yes, absolutely.
Explain.
One of the strengths of the bloodhounds is the heightened sense of smell. They have the ability to smell, much like DNA, smell or sense leave behind particles that are much like DNA, where these dogs can locate and find these particles on the ground. Mm-hmm. They have tremendous endurance as well. These dogs can go for hours on end tracking individuals for miles.
What would the strength of, for example, the Malinois be?
The Malinois, as you can see, it's a small package. They have incredible bite strength, but they have tremendous endurance as well. These dogs can leap great distances, and they're very driven. They're very driven to locate individuals.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the force did have 27, and recently we lost one, Sultan. It was a well-publicized incident out of San Jacinto. Very briefly, you know, tell us about Sultan, what happened, and the impact on the department.
Yeah, on January 21st in the afternoon in the city of Hemet, our deputies received information of a wanted individual who had not made a court appearance. So when they got there, they located some individuals who directed our deputies to a house. For the sake of the safety of the deputies and what these dogs are trained to do, the dog arrived, a canine, Sultan, from the city of San Jacinto, and began looking for the individual and tracked the suspect to an area underneath a house. Again, the dogs are trained to find individuals. He went underneath the residence, and the deputy, Mark Wallace, who was the handler, heard a sound that he couldn't quite make out, but Sultan immediately retreated from underneath the house, and he was injured. Didn't know what the injury was. We immediately took him to a vet, and the vet determined that Sultan had been shot, and he died at the vet.
It's like losing, part of the family.
It was, and I actually, speaking with the handlers, it struck me as if I lost a peer. Yeah. It was amazing to me how I took it. But this unit has been around since 1983. We've had injuries, but we've never lost an animal.
Really?
So that really struck this department down to its core.
I can only imagine. But the department is strong. The dogs are resilient. They persevere, as do their handlers. And so give us a sense more about the various capabilities. It's not just about finding drugs and finding people. This department and their dogs are much more diverse in terms of their abilities.
Sure, absolutely. One of the greatest strengths, as you can see here, is they provide great outreach opportunities for our officers.
Right.
There tends to be a perception of how these animals are utilized, what they do, And unfortunately, they tend to get a stigma as being these dangerous and easily agitated animals. But as you can see here, our dogs are well trained, as many law enforcement dogs are, and they understand when duty is duty and when time calls for it, they act like animals. They're just like our pets.
Tell us about their training. How did Spike and Inga become the valuable participants in the Riverside County Sheriff's Department?
Well, there's a great differentiation between what are our patrol dogs and our tracking dogs. The bloodhounds, I'll start off with that. They're acquired as puppies.
Oh, wow.
And the difference is the patrol dogs can be interchanged between handlers. Generally, with the bloodhounds, they remain with the handler for the life cycle of the animal.
And as I understand it, you take the dog home. For example, Corporal Garvin, that's his dog, 24/7.
That's correct. Yeah, the animals remain with the handlers 24 hours a day.
So all the animals?
7 days a week, that's correct.
Wow.
Now, so these animals the bloodhounds start as puppies, and we train them early on as puppies. So they develop characteristics as a partner team. The patrol dogs are purchased from Europe. They have initial training in Europe.
Areas like the Belgian, for example?
Correct. And some of the dogs come from Czechoslovakia, from Germany. And we work with a company in Riverside, Adel Horse International.
Got it.
And we receive the dogs with the initial training. And then really the handlers are then married with the appropriate dog. Their personalities, so you have to marry the appropriate handler with the dog. Once the dogs are put together, there's about 11 weeks of training that the handlers go through and the dogs go through. Things such as how to be in a patrol car, how to track individuals, and then the second component on how to search for narcotics, how to do scent training.
What is the cost of this program?
The canines themselves, notwithstanding the bloodhounds, talking about the patrol service dogs, about $10,000 for the dog.
To acquire?
To acquire.
Wow.
From that point, it's about another $9,000 in order to provide the initial two-step training that they go through. But the dogs train weekly. All of these dogs get together once a week, and then there's training that takes place at Adelhorst as well once a month. So it's ongoing training for the life of the service dog and the life of the handler.
And then what about for the individuals that are handling the dogs? I presume that the dog food is provided to them, certain stipend, compensation, etc.
We take very good care of our animals. So yes, there are stipends for the food. There are stipends for the care of the animals, such as grooming, such as providing veterinary care. They are well cared for, so yes.
So we know the dogs are trained. What about the humans? I mean, I have to think that these humans, they need to be, I mean, we would all need to be trained. I mean, this is a very specific skill. And while the dogs really take the lead, I presume, there still needs to be education on the human side. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. And I like to look at it as reverse education. These handlers are passionate about animals, okay, to the extreme. So that is already inbred.
Of course.
But yes, there is training that they go through. There's ongoing training, as I mentioned, but there's conferences that they attend. There are network groups that they meet with. So it's not just simply the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, but it's canines in general that meet frequently to train and share ideas and tactics. Beyond that, it's a lot of, as I mentioned before, outreaching with the public and educating the public on the animals, how they're used.
It is remarkable how when you see an officer, I think post 9/11 we still have good feelings about our officers, but if they're with a dog or with a horse, for example, there is a sense of approachability that really is important. And I do think, I mean, one of our staffers here brought her 2-year-old to meet the dogs and the officers, and you know, look, she's only 2, but I do think that will stay with her.
Absolutely.
That this was a very positive relationship.
Absolutely.
And so it inures to the benefit of all of us. Chief Deputy, I want to thank you for joining us. Of course, I want to thank Deputy Heath Noyes and Corporal Todd Garvin, as well as Spike and Inga. And I want to thank you. My name is Brad Pomerance. Thank you for joining us on California Edition.